Hey everyone, I'm Kelsey Garcia of K Garcia Productions, and today I did an interview with one of my favorite photographers, Chelsea Northrup of Northrup Photography, as well as the Picture This podcast, which is really cool, so you should all check that out. Anyway, so I sent questions to Chelsea and she sent me back responses, and the first question I asked her was, what was one of the things that while you were learning was the toughest to learn?
One of the most difficult things for me to learn was storytelling, because I was so focused on the composition and what I imagined people would be seeing that I'd forget to give clues in my photo to make a photo that was really compelling and told the story. So it's something I still work on.
Storytelling is something that everyone can always continue to improve on and get better at and keep working at. So I'm really glad that she did bring that up. I also wanted to know, how did she do a majority of her learning? Was it through YouTube? Did she go to school for it? What was really the primary way that she learned photography?
I learned a ton about photography by taking photography classes. I took a few in college, I took one in high school, by working with other photographers. Tony's one of them, of course, but I've learned so much just by going to photography meetups, from photography groups online and YouTube videos. I just look up something if I had a question, and of course just like Googling and finding photo blogs and stuff like that. So just all different ways of learning, all different places to learn.
I think that it's so important to know that while you can learn a lot from a classroom, that's not the only way you're going to learn an artistic skill. There are so many mediums to get information from, so learning from YouTube, podcasts, books, and classes is just a great way to keep your knowledge growing and that you're never going to stop learning an art skill. I also wanted to know what her experiences were as a female photographer, what obstacles she's had to go through just because she was a female in photography.
Some challenges that I've encountered being a woman in photography, one is not being taken seriously. I planned a whole trip for our business to go to Photo Plus in New York and was checking out a product at a booth, thinking I could do a product review, and the guy at the booth, the owner of the company, said, "Well, aren't you patient for just tagging along?" Yeah, I didn't review his product after that. I just walked away. Also being introduced as the assistant photographer, having interviewers interview Tony about my pictures, but not being invited on the interview. Having camera companies invite Tony to a press event and not me, having other male photographers explain things I already understand about my camera or my picture, people telling me in my videos that I wrote and produced that they would prefer if I was not there and it was only Tony, constant comments on my appearance, my body, the way I talk. There is so much criticism when you're a woman in a tech field, a field that's dominated by men. But you know, you just have to press on and know that they're wrong for their judgments and know that you belong here, ladies. You belong in this field. We're just as good. We're just as valuable. We have so much to offer. And they're missing out if they don't give us an opportunity. And also, it's a good opportunity for us to support one another and to form a strong bond.
To know that it's not all bad, there are definitely some positive things about being a woman in photography was something I wanted to know. So I asked her that next.
On the other hand, the advantages to being a woman in photography, nobody feels creepy letting me take pictures of their children. I've approached women in public and asked them to be my models, and they're not freaked out. They don't worry that I have some ulterior motive, so that makes things a little bit easier. And also, there's just this great bond between female photographers. We all know what we're up against, and it's great that we can just be in it together.
When I am in a photo shoot, I love using fun photo hacks. My favorite is using a CD to create reflections. So I really wanted to know, what was Chelsea's favorite photo hack?
My favorite photographic hack. I like putting something like blurred out in the foreground to add depth. So it could be leaves or the corner of a wall. That's such a good question. I like reflections. I don't know. That's a good question. I think that's my answer, putting things in the foreground.
If you've ever scrolled through Chelsea's Instagram, you'd notice that there are portraits, there are landscapes. So I really wanted to know what was her favorite thing to photograph.
I love that I get to dabble in all different kinds of photography, but I feel especially alive when I'm taking nature and wildlife photos. I get to feel awe when I'm looking at nature. I just get so wrapped up in what I'm doing, and there's something therapeutic about it. I love it.
I also wanted to know what was her most memorable photo shoot, because when you have those, you really hold on to them and you want to recreate them, but it pretty much never happens.
My most memorable photo shoot was probably at Machu Picchu. It was an incredibly beautiful morning. The light was streaming through the clouds like perfectly, you know what I'm talking about? And this baby llama came up and just kind of was basking in the sunlight in front of me, and I was just soaking in this moment alone. And I liked the pictures too. It's like when you get that combination of a great moment and pictures to prove it, perfect.
And I closed out our interview with asking her what her favorite country to visit was, and she sent me this.
Oh, that's really hard. Why you gotta do this to me? Okay, Norway, incredibly beautiful. Portugal, so beautiful. I can't name one. Peru was amazing. Like, the people are so nice and everything's gorgeous. Like, I really like good food. Question's so difficult. Morocco.
As someone who is Portuguese, I was really pumped to hear that Portugal was on her list. And I was so grateful that she answered these questions for me, and I am thankful that you guys are watching. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to tweet them at me at kgarciaprod.